Yeah, you type in Stay High 149, it'll pop right up. He's a legend. He's probably one of the legend pioneers of graffiti. Matter of fact, he was so famous.
This is
He was
Gary
so
Gale, a
famous.
longtime cook and grader at Cornell who currently works at Risley Dining. What you've just heard are Gary's reactions as I scroll through old images of subway car graffiti in 1970s New York City. Gary is known by regulars at the dining hall for his friendly demeanor and positive energy, but students are likely unaware that the man wishing them a happy Friday and good luck on their next exam was a pioneering graffiti artist involved in the establishment of graffiti in the
Coco
1970s.
144 lived on 144th Street. We lived on
As I
147.
scrolled through
That's
photos,
the
Gary
inside. That
began to
has to
paint
be
a
the
portrait
subway.
of the culture that surrounded graffiti art.
There was a place we would gather in Manhattan, 168th Street Station on the one train, sitting on the bench watching the trains go by to see our work. It was like how we became popular. Like, oh shit, look at Moses' piece. Oh, there's another Moses piece. You know, Stay High 149, Taki 180. Even you know who Taki is. You heard of him, 183.
Taki 183 was one of the first graffiti artists to gain fame. His tag, which was visible across New York City, attracted the attention of reporters at the New York Times, who wrote an article on the anonymous artist in the summer of 1971. I asked Gary, how was it that Taki 183 rose to fame?
Because he had more, we would call it hits. Like if you're doing with the Magic Market, that's a hit. If you was doing the outside of the car, that would be called a masterpiece. Well, we'd say piece for short. And no one, you know what? Very few of us knew each other's like real names, because we always said like Taki, Moses, Patch. Taki is a legend. Have a good day, Aaron.
While Gary goes to swipe in more students, I ponder, how did he get involved in this? And what did graffiti mean to him and his brother?
I remember on my 10th birthday, they was doing some maintenance in the tunnel of the subway. So I guess they went to lunch and no one was around, and me and my brother my older brother always looking for an adventure. We end up down onto the train tracks, and we just start walking to the next station, which was 103rd Street Station. No one saw us, so we was like, wow, this is kind of cool. So we walked to the next station and the next station. And then it was soon after that when we learned about graffiti, and I went on doing that for the next 4 years until we moved to Binghamton.
Although Gary never achieved fame for his work, his brother, Moses 147, became well established in the underground graffiti world.
My tag was Patch 147. My brother he was a Moses 147. He was what we called the king of the one trains, which meant he had more what we called pieces on the outside of the one train than any other artist for a period of about 2 years. And I'd say from about 1972 to 74, there was literally an underworld of associations. Some of them, we was members of what they would call United Artists. My brother went on, because of his popularity, to join a lot of other groups. These groups was invite-only groups. Like he went on to become a member of what they would call 3-Yard Boys, which was the number 3 train.
Gary's involvement in this underworld of artists was an exciting time, but carried risks, and unfortunately, during one tagging expedition, ended in tragedy.
It was a beautiful, beautiful time. But like I say, there was people that, well, actually lost their lives. One guy, his name is Ali. He used to write
Before
ALI,
continuing
Ali.
with Ali's
I
story,
remember, and I was
Gary takes the
actually in
time to
Navy Yard.
explain
We
what it
were
was
in the
like
one
dodging the
between
police in the subway.
137th Street and City College. When the trains would come, we'd have to stop. so we wasn't detected, and they'd send the police down there to raid the tunnel. That's what we called it, raiding the tunnel, and they would round up whoever they could. They would actually handcuff you, and they had a city bus waiting outside to drag you behind in. And I'm lucky I never got caught like that, but a lot of people did. But Ali, he was sitting in there. There was a third rail which runs the electricity for the train to move. He left his spray paint on top of the third rail, but a spark off the train hit the paint, and there was paint on the outside of the spray can. It sparked. He was that close where he was literally on fire.
At this point in the story, I was stunned. I can't imagine how I would have felt, a 10-year-old, watching a fellow graffiti artist in flames in the subway, terrified about what was going to happen next.
After the train had passed and we started hearing them screaming, we went over and people was like taking off like their jackets. Almost everyone wore dungaree jackets, trying to hit them and, get them from burning up. He was on fire in the yard, and later the police came and all of that, and he lived for a few weeks and then he died from the burns on his body. Ali was a good friend of Futura 2000. He was one of the founding members of United Artists. He was a good guy. But it was nothing we thought we can do. There was no cell phones back then. You couldn't call no one and say, hey, come help this guy. The police got a call from somewhere, possibly a passing train, that someone's in the tunnel on fire, and went down in there, got him out, got him in an ambulance, got him to a hospital, and like I say, weeks later he died from his burns. So in that sense, it was a tragic thing.
Did you or your brother have any sort of regrets about that incident? Did it?
We were sorry for him, but it didn't stop us from doing what we was doing. It was, I would say, looking back now in hindsight, we looked at it as something that could possibly happen in the pursuit of our works. So it was tragic. It was tragic.
While the pursuit of graffiti took the life of Ali, it was at the same time a savior, a path out of the tough life the artist faced above ground.
Something, and I never realized this till later, it probably kept us out of a lot of gangs. So the first time some guys come up to us, they're like, you're drafted. It was like, drafted? I can't go to Vietnam. It's like, no, you're being drafted into the 147th Street gang. This is not something we wanted. We realized even then they was involved in illegal activities, and I'll leave it at illegal activities. Graffiti was a way to keep us off the block and think of it as out of sight, out of mind. And it was more than a hobby. It became a great pursuit for us and led us to traveling all over New York City. Graffiti was it was an escape and possibly a savior for me and my older brother.
What started as kids looking for adventure unleashed a new genre of art. Although Gary isn't involved in the scene anymore, he's happy where he is now and glad to have been a part of what he calls most magnificent time. Thanks for joining us, and next week, we hear other stories from members of the Cornell community.
Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. That'll be the hour they knock the slick blaster. Dick Dastardly and Muttley with sick laughter. A gunfight and they come to cut the mix master. ICE Cole, nice to be old. Y2G Steve twice to threefold. He sold scrolls, lo and behold. Know who's the illest ever, like the greatest story told.